record here. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Tonight we have a special guest with us, Lori Harrison. And if you guys are not following her on her Facebook page, you really need to. She has totally been a game changer for me as far as learning everything I can about our products and gut health. I mean, and we affectionately know you as the Fungus Queen. I don't know if you... I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Lori. Let's just start off.
Well, I'm going to talk to you guys like you don't know a lot about me, even though I'm always hesitant to do that because I think gosh, if they've watched all my YouTube videos, I'm going to be repeating myself. But for the purpose of filling in all the blankets, I'll back up and tell you a little bit about how I got started with Plexus. I won't spend a lot of time on that, but it is kind of relevant to my journey because people always come to my trainings and they'll say something to me about their their upline or whatever. And so I always like to share the fact that, I always like to ask usually, does anybody know who my sponsor is? Raise your hand if you do. Does anybody know who sponsored me? You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably not. You probably don't know, like, for maybe 5 or 6 above me even. Maybe. Do you have a guess?
Sonia?
No, not Sonia.
Oh,
I was actually in the company before, a little bit before Sonia, and we're not even in the same legs, but you're not the first person who's guessed that. Actually, it's not a jewel. It's not anybody you would know their name. I think that they are, it's a husband or a wife and a husband. And then there's 5 or 6 people between me. And then there's I think Coach Clavis is the first name that you would know. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't know who they were. When I started with the company, there were maybe 5 or 6 videos on YouTube that had anything to do with Plexus. And one of them was an opportunity meeting with Sheila Medina with terrible audio. Someone in the back of the room was recording it and you couldn't hear what she was saying. And I remember thinking I would probably never meet her anyway. I mean, I was so disconnected from anything to do with corporate. My upline, like I said, the person who sponsored me, I didn't even know them. I didn't know I was joining a company. I just thought I was signing up for wholesale for something. And no one had convinced me to either. I had Googled it. I saw the word or saw the logo or something, and I wrote it down because it interested me. And then when I Googled it, I landed on someone's website. So I don't know the person who sponsored me. They don't know me. We don't even exchange Christmas cards. And for a very, very, very long time, I didn't know that I was in anybody's downline. I think I originally was a 7 or 8 to Coach and Patty, and compression has made me bump up to where I think maybe I fall on his 4th or 5th level. I'm not sure. The reason that's relevant is because I don't listen to any whining about uplines. People are like, I just can't get my upline to do this, and my upline won't do that. And I'm like, well, you know who my upline is, right? And they're like, no. And I'm like, me either. I don't ever hear from them. I've never gotten a Christmas card. I mean, literally, you would think, because just from doing the math of how many points they would have just based on my team, they make a pretty penny off of, no, I don't ever get any communication from them. So that also will give you the answer to how many contests I've ever won that were sponsored by my upline. Yeah, there were no contests. There's no team page. I don't know if they're even on Facebook. So that gives everybody sort of an interesting look into when I started with the company. I had no knowledge of what the products might do for a person. So literally, I was making it up. Now, I was making it up based on what people were telling me as far as people who were buying the product from me. People were telling me really fascinating stuff. But I was pushing one product. And I know you guys can guess which product that was. And I was pushing it for the purpose because I was seeing it do amazing things and because it was inexpensive. I was like, I think every person in the world ought to take ProBio 5. And so I was selling a ton of this $30 product, and the majority of my team, I would say that I have built my team on a pile of bottles of ProBio 5. That is where the basis of everything that I do, because I was getting these interesting stories from people. Now I get it that the triplex is really where it's at. But if you take the ProBio 5 out of the triplex, you lose a lot of your like completely mind-blowing testimonies where people's immune system comes in and fixes whatever's wrong with them. The ProBio 5 really, really plays in there. And just briefly, the easiest way to explain this to people, really get them understanding how this works, it's basically that if you have a candida problem, and most every American does, comes from a million places, but the majority of the time it comes from the fact that you were on antibiotics at some time in your life. And if you have a candida problem or a fungal infection, your body has a hard time ever going in and healing itself. Your immune system is crippled by your fungal infection. Now, the way you can tell if you have a fungal infection, the cheap and easiest way to figure out if you have a fungal infection is if you start taking ProBio 5 and experience great results, then ding, 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 you had a fungal infection, okay? Most people are like, how do you test for candida? And there are very, very extensive, expensive testing that they can do and tell you whether you have a fungal infection. But like I said, that's a $30 test. It's really easy to determine, and there's a money-back guarantee. So I talk about the ProBio 5 a lot because of the fact that once your immune function is back in working order, you can basically list anything from A to Z that could be wrong with your body. And I can tell you, hey, guess what? If your immune system worked, it would fix that. Simple, right? Mm-hmm. But what has basically happened is your immune system isn't working. Therefore, you have something like, fibromyalgia pain or rheumatoid arthritis or Crohn's disease or all these things that could be going wrong with you. But if you can give your immune system back the muscle by getting rid of the fungal infection. Now, is everybody following me on what I'm saying there? Because sometimes I go into a really, really, really long spiel about that. But the truth is, first of all, you just have to trust me, and you probably, many of you do. If you're having me on a call, you probably are like, yeah, we do that. We already know this. The cool thing about it is that when you pair it with something that, one of your major bodily functions is your immune system, which primarily resides in your colon. But then you've got this like blood sugar balance that blood sugar balancing affects things like your hormones, your adrenal glands, your thyroid function, all these bodily systems that may not work properly for your average adult. I mean, honestly, most average adults have problems with their hormones, their thyroid, or one of those things that I just mentioned. If you can get your blood sugar balanced, typically those things will line back up and start working well again as well. So when you've got the power team basically of what your ProBio 5 does and what your Plexus Slim does, and to me, the Bio Cleanse, I'm not as educated. I mean, I'm like nerd educated on the ProBio 5. I'm semi-nerd educated on the Plexus Slim. On the Bio Cleanse, I'm all like, well, you have to have it in the triplex to make the triplex work really well. Mm-hmm. The main reason I really feel that the Bio Cleanse is so important, aside from what the people who are very educated on it can tell you, is when you are getting rid of toxins in your system, like candida or the fungal infection, as it begins to die off and it's floating around in your bloodstream, it can cause all kinds of awful side effects. The Bio Cleanse keeps you from having those awful side effects. Now, that's not all it does. Magnesium is amazing for you. All the other ingredients are awesome for you, and the oxygenating of the cells and all that. But from just a totally immune system standpoint, the triplex is for sure the cornerstone of everything that I have built my business on. And I think it's really important for people to understand too that if you have built your business, and anytime I talk about this, I'm always hesitant because I don't want people like doing a whole bunch of looking back and wishing. But if you can just take the information I give you right here and just be like, okay, maybe make some adjustments in the way that you portray the business to people or portray the products to people. Mm-hmm. If you've primarily focused on a weight loss objective with your business, if you can begin to sort of twist that into more of an overall health, I say all the time, if you're having trouble finding customers, you're looking for the wrong customers. You need to be looking for sick people. Anybody that could open their medicine cabinet up and prescription pills are going to fall out and hit them in the head. Those people are the most loyal. They will never leave you because prescriptions are trying to keep this since we're recording, but let me rethink how to say this. So many people live in a foggy-headed, side effect plagued, just overall yuckiness all day long. And a lot of it has to do with side effects from things that they are taking every day, okay? And if you can give them something natural that gets their proper immune function working again, gets their blood sugar balanced, and get them in just feeling better, thinking more clearly. It's one of those things that's like, I don't know exactly how to describe it. I just sleep a lot better. I don't have to have all the stuff that I thought I needed. And suddenly the labels that you carried around with you, like I had high blood pressure, I had high cholesterol, I had even people who you would go as far as to say had something like ADHD or even autism. If they're no longer showing the signs of those things, those people are never going to leave you as customers. And if they become ambassadors, they will never be a white line in your back office. You'll be able to look like people will occasionally say, I look in my back office and it's a graveyard. And I'm like, oh, not me. Like, I'm not going to say I don't have people that turn their AQ off. I get it. But since I built my business on the cornerstone of those 3 products, and since so many people are well now, they have no desire to go anywhere else. They have no desire to ever quit taking the products, quit ordering the products. When you go through a season where you're doing like a back office change and everybody's like losing their mind and pulling their hair out and stuff, and my people, their biggest concern is, I just need my product. You see what I'm saying? Like, they might be frustrated about other things too, but their biggest concern is, man, I'm really sick when I don't have this stuff. And that's been an eye-opener for a lot of people on my team, because once you feel better, you may forget how sick you used to be. I don't know if you guys have experienced it before where you've had to go. Yeah. Like if you had previous health problems and you have to go for an extended period of time, you know, more than 3 or 4 days without your products, it can be really an astronomical deal for people. Hang on a second. I'm going to look at my notes here. Okay. Some of the things that you guys had talked about that you wanted me to touch on. One was gut health books that I recommend. And really, I've read probably 20 different ones, but there's one that really stands out. And it stands out for it's a thick book. For you to ever like remember everything that's in it, you'd have to read it over and over. So the book can scare people if you're not really, really wanting to dig into gut health. But from the first chapter, your eyes are open. You're like, I would have never dreamed in a million years. The first chapter has you hooked because you're like, it's called, I'll tell you what it's called. It's called Recaging the Beast. And the front of it has a lion in a cage in it. It's talking about recaging the beast, yeast infections, fungal infections. And it goes into all of these things. After you've read that book, your life is forever changed. You never look at food the same way. You never look at prescription pills and birth control and all these things that we've just accepted, immunizations. Everything we accept as just the way life is. You'll never look at it the same. It's completely eye-opening as to what sort of is going on with us as a society in general And even if you look at some of it and you don't agree with pieces of it, it's a very good, I would say it'd be the like #1 textbook that if you are interested, if you have people in your family who are sick and can't seem to get well, and if they're still struggling after they're on Plexus products, you would more than likely find an answer in that book.
Oh,
and it's written in a way that you can understand it. Of the other books that I have read, The Fungus Link is probably my #2 book. But honestly, it's an old enough book that I think even the author of that book would now describe, I think he pretty much says fungus is the root of all disease. I think his premise is that fungus causes everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he missed the mark a little bit in that I don't know that fungus causes everything, or I think it just prohibits your immune system. So he was sort of the frontier guy that came in and really began to say, we have an issue here, and I think it starts with fungus. And over time, I think his ideas have evolved more into an immune system issue. So his book is full of great information, too. The first 3 chapters are called Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and asthma. And funny enough, as luck would have it, my first 3 customers who started on the ProBio 5 started it for a toenail because that's what I advertised. It's my toenail, you know? And the first 3 stories I got were, is this supposed to help with joint pain? It looks like my little boy, is this supposed to help with, he's breathing better. He seems to be breathing better. And the other one was stomach issues. And I thought, at that point in the ball game, no one in the company was talking about gut health. I had that book. I had stumbled upon the book. I had begun to really research what these products were doing. And my first 3 customers lined up with the first 3 chapters of that book as I was reading. And I was like, you know, it was a cosmic answer for me. I was like, there's something to this. And let me see. I felt like there was something else I was going to answer about that same thing. No, gut health books. The other book I would really recommend, it's not really gut health related, but has totally changed. It changed my mindset, and then my mindset has really changed my business. And I know probably all of you already know this, but The Circle Maker. To me, hands down, growing up in sort of a Bible Belt area where, I don't know, it's like small-mindedness prevails. You know, everyone's very, you have a few people who have money or whatever, but the majority of the people around here are sort of in a poverty mindset. And I grew up sort of thinking and being taught that to have very much money was to live selfishly or greedy, or that I don't even know that anybody ever said those things to me, but sort of had it in the back of my mind that people who have a lot of money are probably selfish or maybe greedy, had all these different things, mindsets. And I was really struggling when I first started making. I can remember my first check that came in that was like, this wasn't my first check, but the first check that came in that was like around $3,000. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I had barely been working the business for any time at all. And my mom, who's a school teacher, makes about that much money a month, and she put years into her education, you know, and she'd been teaching for 15 years, and that's about how much money she made. And I'd been selling Plexus for a few months, and I was making that much money. And I thought, I sort of mentioned to my sister, you know, this is a train. You need to get on this train. And when I told her how much money I was making, let me just say it this way. People acted funny about it. Like I did something sneaky or wrong, or I was cheating something. And for me, it took me a long time to overcome and just be bold. I mean, now you guys if you guys that follow me on Facebook, you're like, girl, you're bold. You're crazy bold. But at that stage in the game, I was so embarrassed about the fact that we were making money. Now, I wanted to make the money. Don't get me wrong. But I was embarrassed, and I didn't really want people to know that something I had sort of presented as I was just helping people. And that's how I really did start the business, is I was just helping people. And so I hated for it to be like, well, I'm just helping people. And now I'm making a few $1,000s a month. You see what I'm saying? Once we started making well above that amount of money was the first time in my life that I realized that I had it all backwards in my mind, because I had lived my entire life trying to figure out how I was going to pay how we would pay our bills. I mean, I primarily was not the breadwinner in our home before Plexus at all. So we tried to figure out how we would pay our bills, primarily off what my husband made working at the tire plant. We tried to figure out what we would do for Christmas every year. We tried to figure out, what, anytime something came up when a kid was sick, or insurance had to be paid on a vehicle, or something where you're just like, it was constant struggle mode. And it occurred to me, this is the first time in my life I've not lived selfishly. I spent my whole life I wasn't thinking I was living selfishly, but it was all I could do was to worry about me and my kids. And I felt like I didn't look at it like I was selfish. I looked at it like I was responsible. I'm being responsible. I'm taking care of my own so that somebody else doesn't have to take care of me. So that, my parents are not burdened with me. The government is not burdened with me. Whatever, proud that I was taking care of my own. But I realized I wasn't pouring into anybody else in any shape, form, or fashion. I didn't have time for people. I didn't have money for people. I didn't have any sort of resources for people other than just the people who lived inside my house. And that book, The Circle Maker, really helped me to realize that it doesn't really come out and say it exactly in those words that you're living selfishly if you're worried only about yourself all the time, but it's the very definition of it. And that, what am I trying to say? That actual realization made it okay in my mind to dream really big dreams. And once I started dreaming big dreams, everything changed. It was an entirely different playing field. I made a dream board that had stuff on it that made me very uncomfortable. And I was like, I'm okay with this. If my business takes off and God blesses my business in a way to where this dream board happens, I will be in a position to where I am no longer selfish. I mean, I no longer have to live a selfish lifestyle. I never had a selfish mentality. I always wanted to bless other people. I think another thing people sometimes think too, is they think, what if money turns me into, someone who's selfish? What if money makes me act a certain way? And what I have learned is that money magnifies what you already are. So if that's what someone already is, it will absolutely hold a magnifying glass and you'll be able to see it on a lot bigger scale. But if you already have a heart to give and want to pour into other people, if your heart is to, that's what my heart is. My heart is to pour into other people, help other people achieve the fullness in their life, with their health and with their calling, whatever they're called to do. I love to help people do that. But I didn't have any means or resources in which to do that until mostly what Plexus really did was free up my time. And obviously the time gets freed up by the money, if that makes sense. And this past week, my church family experienced a tremendous loss. We lost someone that meant a lot to the entire community. She was the church secretary. Everyone adored her. And there's a lot of junk drama wrapped up in it. And it was awful. This week was absolutely a week where I wanted people, I didn't want to answer the phone again. I didn't want to answer stupid questions. I didn't want to go into town where people were going to ask me stupid questions. I didn't want to be around people. And I was thinking all week long, oh gosh, I'm so glad I don't have to go anywhere today if I don't want to. And all of that is a luxury that I have simply because of the fact that I have time freedom and that I have the ability anytime. anytime someone's struggling with something, like anytime you have family and friends who are going through funerals and stuff like that, and you see them try to make things work so that they can take off for a few days and, you know, show their condolences or whatever. And if they're actually really deeply involved in it, you see them, you know, struggle basically on a working basis. That's something I've actually witnessed some of my team members recently go through seasons in their life where if it wasn't for their Plexus money, it would just be suck it up, buttercup, you're right back to work. And, you know, these are people who are gold ambassadors making just enough money that they can be like, no, you suck it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not coming back to work today. Or they can be like, some of the husbands are like, no, my wife just had a baby. I don't want to go back to work yet. And, you know, that's the beauty of, it's the beauty of the time freedom on a smaller scale that gives you just enough of a little bit of taste where you're like, I like this gold ambassador money enough that I think I really want to be an emerald ambassador. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know why I got on that topic, but I just felt like that's where I was supposed to go about that. Another thing that you guys had said you might wanted me to talk about is, I'll talk about this, and then if there's stuff I didn't cover, you can let me know, but, okay. Or if you have questions. But you had said building my business in small town Oklahoma. And I will tell you that I have built my business almost entirely on social media. I didn't have it modeled for me that to do meetings or anything, so I didn't even know that that was a thing, and didn't really intend to turn this into a business in the first place because of the fact that it didn't look like there was markup in the product, so I didn't think you could make any money. I was like, it's $5 markup. It's not even worth my time to open my mouth about it, except for the fact that the little kid at church, his asthma went away, and so I feel like a total jerk if I don't, okay? So that was the premise that I went on to build this business. I didn't go after it building a business, which I think, looking back, was probably the biggest blessing and the biggest curse, because I didn't look at the compensation plan, and so anytime someone would sign up or join, I would think, oh, quit joining already. Why don't you just buy this stuff from me? Okay, this is how I thought it went. I didn't know. I had no experience with it, whatever. So I was like, oh God, now a lady at the bank sells it. She's on my level 1. Okay. Okay. This is how I was looking at it. And all I really wanted to do was pay for my own product. Would you other people quit signing up? I didn't promote it for anybody to sign up. I didn't want them to join. And if they did, I'd be like, okay, well, anyway. And I didn't make a team page for them and all this stuff. And if you have people that you're talking to right now and they're like, man, you lucked out. You got in on that thing at a really good time. That was a really good time. Well, here's what I say to people who share that little tidbit with me. I say, actually, no, I got in it when the website was, you couldn't navigate it. I got in on it when you'd call customer service. At that time, you got the same person every single time because they only had 2 people working in customer service. I got in on a time when no one knew anything about the products, and there were no YouTube videos. No one was doing meetings around Oklahoma anywhere. There were no meetings. The closest meeting was in New Orleans. So this is like, right now is the most, to me, there's never been a better time to be getting into Plexus because the growth is phenomenal, and we're like we're teetering on the edge of about to have some of the most cutting edge training. I know you guys are not like fully aware of that. I happen to be in on some of it, so I'm sharing that with you. We're about to have training that will be company wide. That's going to be so on point for what we need as a company. That's going to streamline things. You know how you get these documents that have been shared from team to team, and you're like, I don't know where this came from, but I'm so glad someone unearthed it. It's not going to be like that anymore very shortly. We're going to have very concise, and if you have yet to explore the capability of the new back office, Right now, we're all cussing it a little bit, I know. But the capabilities that will be there once the kinks are worked out are going to be well worth what we've gone through, even if you've pulled your hair out. My husband the other day, just playing, goes in there and has the back office single out all his level 1s. And he voice records a message that says, "Hey, I just wanted to touch base with you. Was curious if there's anything that I can do for you. I know that we haven't talked in a while and blah, blah, blah. Just checking to see where things stand with you. I'd love to hear back from you when you get a minute." And it sent it to, I don't remember how many people he said, all his level 1s all at once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The
That's
message.
awesome.
Yeah. And he doesn't have to know who his level 1s are. He told it to send it to all his level 1s.
Wow.
Another capability that it's going to have, let's say Sonia is going to be in Michigan, okay? And you know that the zip code where she's going to be is this zip code. So you type in the zip code in their search function. I'm not aware of how this works yet. I just know that it's capable of this. You type in that zip code and it pulls up everyone that's on your team, however many levels, that live in that area, and you single them out and you say, "Hey, this is so-and-so. I'm your Emerald upline. I just wanted you guys to know. I'm your Gold upline. I just want you guys to know that on January 8th, Sonia is going to be in your area at the such and such event center. If you're not aware of who Sonia is, I'm going to attach a video to the bottom of this, whatever. If you have any questions, I can't wait to hear back from you. I'm so excited about this. Just happen to see that she would be in your area." You can make it very personalized. It doesn't show them that you sent it to 100 people.
Okay.
They think they're the only one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm drooling a little bit, because the bigger your team gets, the more you're like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus. We're going to have something that streamlines things for us." There's lots more that we haven't even figured out that it's going to do, but that's some of the most exciting stuff I've come across so far. One last thing, and I don't know what ranks you guys are that I'm talking to, but I'm just going to talk to you. I'm going to pretend like you're all silver ambassadors, even though I'm well aware that that's not true, that you're not all silver ambassadors. I have one little tidbit that I feel like I need to share, and that is that, if you're on this call tonight, or if you're listening, then that means you have some sense of leadership in you, or you are wanting to take this business to another level. And so that gives me permission to tell you what I'm about to say. I feel like you should make a dream board if you have not. And if you don't already believe in the power that you have inside you to manifest things, people get all woo-woo crazy. They think I'm nuts when I start talking about this, depending on what their belief system is. But I'm of the belief system that I'm just going to share with you, and not telling you have to agree with me. You're not on my team, and then after I push exit from this Zoom call, I don't ever have to talk to any of you ever again if I don't want to. So I'm going to tell you what I believe, and that is that if you are a believer, that once you have the Holy Spirit living inside of you, you have every single power that Jesus did when he walked the face of the earth that he's ever had. And so therefore, just like God did, he spoke things into existence, manifested things literally by thinking them. I believe that we have that power inside of us. And so whether this is a cautionary tale, whether I should say, "Hey, you ought to be careful what you're thinking about. Be careful what you spend your time dwelling on. Be careful what you spend your time thinking, because you do manifest those things and you bring them back into your life." If you are in a constant state of worry, you bring more worry into your life. If you work your business from a place of constant toil, you will bring more toil into your business. I have witnessed this. I have how once you begin to have certain level 1s, you begin to witness that certain teams sort of take on their own personality. Well, I have certain teams that have worked their business from a place of faith, and they have their own personality. Then I have these other legs who have worked their business from a place of toil, and they're my toiliness teams. They got where they were going really fast, and it's like a duck underwater. It looks like everything's cool on top, like, I'm a senior Ruby, and all you can see on top is they're just floating. They look so great. But to stay at senior Ruby, they look like this underneath there, and they've done everything from a place of toil and not very much faith and spirit, okay? Prayerfully consider when you're putting your vision board together what to put on your vision board. Prayerfully consider printing out the list of, if you have a big team, print out your level ones. If you have a small team, print out your whole team. Keep it on your nightstand and pray over them every night. If you use a lot of negativity coming out your mouth, like, gosh, my kids are so disrespectful. I can't ever seem to get my level ones to do anything. They're so lazy. My husband, he just doesn't get me. And if you find yourself doing that, I want you to really cage it in. Like, I want you to start really I want you to put a focus on what comes out of your mouth and what you dwell on all day long, because I've been working on this aspect with my team for the people who want to work this business. I've made accountability groups for them. And for about 2 years, we've put a very strong focus on what you think about and what you talk about. And those people who didn't get weirded out by me talking about it and decided that they wanted to take that concept and run with it are the people who are rank advancing, and they don't look like a duck underneath. They're getting to a rank, and they're holding that rank based on faith, based on what they speak, based on manifesting. There's lots of scripture. If you're like, question whether I'm speaking truth here or not, there's a lot of scripture about how powerful your words are, and the things that you think about, things that are lovely, that are beautiful, that are trustworthy, that are honor, all these things, the things that you're supposed to be dwelling on, the thing that you're supposed to be spending your time, that you shouldn't be worrying about anything. Instead, you should pray about everything. I have a list of scripture, basically, because I get challenged on this a lot, basically, so I keep a list of scripture around. What I can tell you is that stronger than my evidence that ProBio 5 fixes your immune system, even stronger than that evidence is the evidence that I see within my own team, the ones that are blossoming, by using what I just told you about the power of what you think and what you say is what will come true in your life. And if you feel like you're lying to yourself because you're like, well, for real, my husband doesn't get me and my kids are disrespectful, I would encourage you to lie to yourself. Literally, begin to look at it differently. Things are getting better every day. My children seem to be getting better every day. I'm excited because it looks like things are going to be better every single day, until you'll start to see the fruit of that, and you won't have to continue to lie to yourself. That's where the term fake it till you make it comes from, where you hear people say, that's an old Mary Kay network marketing, fake it till you make it. Well, that's where it stems from, is here. Convince yourself. Your mind actually doesn't know the difference between something you've imagined and what is reality, and your mind is very powerful. And yes, your mind can actually impact people like your kids and your husband. I promise you. Sarah, if any of you listened, this is the last thing I'll tell you, but if any of you ever listened to the Sarah Robbins prayer call that she does on Monday mornings, one morning she was out of town or something, so her mother did the prayer call, and she was talking about when she was very young, she had just had Sarah, and she was newly married, and she said she just had a pregnancy, so she felt fat and ugly, and she felt like her husband didn't love her, but somebody actually taught her the concept of manifestation, basically. And she said, I was young enough that I didn't question it, which also was the same thing with me. the first time someone taught me that concept, I was young enough that luckily, I was young enough that I didn't question whether I thought it was right or not. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So I just started pretending like it was right, and it came true for me in my life. But she tells that she felt like her husband didn't love her, didn't pay attention to her. He probably didn't think she was beautiful anymore and all these things. And she said, so she began to speak scripture over him while he would sleep. He had no idea, but while he was asleep. And the scripture that she was speaking over him was that it's the one that's talking about how something about more precious than gold, that she's like that I'm more precious than gold to him, that I'm the apple of his eye. She would say this over him. And she's like, I'm more precious than gold to you. I'm the apple of your eye. I'm the apple of your eye. A few months later, on their anniversary, he took her to dinner. He had no idea that this had been going on, like zero idea. He took her to dinner, and the waiter, when it was time for dessert, comes out with a box, like a little cheesecake thing or something like that, in a box. And she's like, oh, no, this is not ours. We didn't order this. And she said, no, it's yours. And he said, just open it. And she opened it, and it was a gold necklace, and the pendant on it was an apple. And she just looked at him, and he said, I just want you to know that you're more precious than gold to me. You're the apple of my eye. He like repeated her scripture she'd been speaking over him for months, right back to her. And she goes, all you have to do is have something like that happen to you once, and you're a believer. She's like, never, ever again. She said, I'm always catching myself. If something negative's coming out of my mouth, I stop it and I begin to speak life over situations. So I guess that's probably what I'll leave you with. Or I'll open it back up to see if you guys have any questions for me, because I just rattled and rattled.
Okay. That was awesome. Thank you. Scott, do you have any questions?
Well, I just felt like we just went to church. I mean, thank you so much, Lori Harrison. What an honor to have you on the Pink Power call tonight. I didn't make it to church today, so I actually got some church tonight. So thank you so much for that. As far as questions goes, there's so many people on the team here, and I mean, we there's a little button down there where you can raise your hand, and if we want to, like, if you're on your call and you want to raise your hand, we could unmute you if you have a question, or maybe we could take one or two questions for Lori if anyone wants to do that. But does anyone wave their hand? I'm looking at all of you right now. Anybody have a question? Okay.
Cody, do you have some? Oh.
Jennifer Y. Let's unmute her. Okay, Jennifer, ask your question. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Can't hear you.
Can you unmute Jennifer?
Yeah, she's
I
unmuted.
gotta turn up my volume.
There we go.
Turn up my volume.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. I had my headset on so that my kid who's studying wouldn't have to hear everything. So, Miss Lori, oh my God, you're so gorgeous, and I love watching all your videos. You really, really, really do inspire me. You really do. I kind of look a mess today because I've been out working in the yard. But, you know, I've only been with the business for just this is my third month. And I've had amazing results myself from all the products. I am posting all the time, and yes, I get a lot of people who show some interest. They like the videos, they like my post. But I'm trying, you know, the month of October I kind of backed off because I'm such a customer service kind of person, and because of all the stuff that we were dealing with our back office and all that stuff, I didn't want my new customers to have that first experience be bad, you know, because I've already lost a customer, and I mean, she's really irate. So now I'm trying to make my month of November to be like, you know, I'm trying to boom it because I made silver in the first 30 days. So now I'm sitting there going, I should be making gold within 90 days. And I know I'm not getting there yet because I'm already going on 90 days. But,
yeah.
I mean, how can I get my mindset back? I mean, it's just, you know, the month of October, I just really didn't want to do that to my customers. And then now I really want to go gung-ho.
Okay. Here's what I would say. For your own mental track record, of your 90 days that you feel like you should have been, gold or whatever, I think you should give yourself a break and subtract out October, because October, SUCKED, big eggs, okay?
Yeah, it did.
And everybody knows this, so we're not going to lie to you about that. So don't count October against what your goal is, okay?
Okay.
Here's what I would say is people who are liking your posts that are not, if they're not Plexus people already, I would encourage you to keep a list in the note portion in your phone, the names of those people, and begin. Do you know what I'm talking about if I say to edify those people?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I want you to use that list, and I want you to go back on every Monday. Every Monday, I want you to open that list up and use those names. And I want you to go to those people's Facebook page, and I want you to, if it's someone you know, you have to use your judgment on this, but if it's someone you know, I want you to comment on a picture of one of their kids, or the pie that they made, or whatever, because the goal here is to trick Facebook into thinking that you're buddies. Okay. And as you begin to create this illusion to Facebook that you're friends, it will begin to show your posts to those people and their posts to you. So you only have to do this a few Mondays in a row before those people are organically showing up in your news feed. And so once a week, I'm saying you don't have to go look for them over and over. Just as their stuff, if they're on your list, as their stuff crosses your news feed, you have to force feed it at first. You have to force their stuff to go through your feed and your stuff to go through their feed. Their nosiness eventually gets the best of them. If it's someone who once a week is speaking to them, eventually they're going to come over and look around on your page. If you keep a list like this running at all times, you're going to constantly be flipping nosy people into customers and customers into ambassadors. I just always I'm always telling my team, I want you to go sterling silver this month, which means what I'm calling sterling silver is I want you to get I want you to flip 3 customers that you think should be ambassadors.
Okay.
And I want you to turn 3 nosy people into customers. And so you're constantly doing this. You're constantly going sterling silver. 3 new customers and take 3 old customers and turn them into ambassadors. And even if it's not working out exactly that way, if for some month, if you have an October and it doesn't work out that way, just continue it in November. Keep your list going. Keep your edifying list going and constantly cycling over. And does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, like with because I do that. I get on all my friends and I always comment on something or like something or whatever. So I do a lot of that and I get a lot of traffic on my news feed.
Right.
But I also, that's all on my personal page. And then I've got my Jennifer's Plexus Journey, which is my business page. But of course I'm trying to figure out how to get that traffic going on that page, type of thing. Or is it even possible?
This is my 2 cents on that. Keep the business page. But trying to get traffic on that business page is not nearly as fruitful as telling your story on your own page, on your personal profile.
Okay.
Eventually you have to, in order to get traffic on a business page, you just basically end up having to play the Facebook ads game.
Right.
Paying for stuff. It used to be a little simpler than it is now, but they've just finally made it. It's a money-making thing for them. So using your personal profile, and then, as people ask questions, you can refer them over to your business page where you may have articles posted, your website is over there, that type of thing.
Right.
Personally, I have business pages that have eventually just turned into basically training, where I put training material, because the biggest portion of my traffic comes through the fact that I talk a lot on Facebook about everything. People the more you're talking on Facebook, the more likely people are to come around and finally ask you about Plexus.
I always say, if you don't post, you're a ghost. I mean, I bet Lori could back me up on this. The people on my team that consistently add the most ambassadors and have the highest PV are the people that post. I mean, every single day, if you're driving to work and you pass a billboard, you may not notice it for 4 or 5 months. And then one day you're like, oh, I need that Little Caesars pizza tonight. It's going to happen.
Right.
And like Lori was talking about building your business on social media. Yeah, that's how I did it too. I mean, eventually not every, 500, 1,000 of your friends are seeing every one of your posts all at the same time as soon as you make it. You may not get a like. You may not get nothing. But if you don't post, you are a ghost. So that's the best way to put it. Lori, I got one more question for you. We're going to keep it real short here.
Okay.
But I want since you are the fungus queen here, I want the age-old Plexus question. What do you think about taking the probiotics and the BioCleanse together? What do you think about that? Or do you think, how do you recommend taking that?
I always hate when someone else's team asks me this question because I don't want to step on toes, but since it's you asking, you obviously are looking for my answer. Take them together. I'm not saying that you need to take them together. I'm saying lots of people do and get great results. And lots of people who take the BioCleanse during the day have, if they experience stuff like bloating and that type of thing, they usually don't experience that if they take it at night. And I will never, ever be convinced that the BioCleanse cancels out the good of the ProBio 5, simply because my hundreds of customers over the years and my thousands on my team all take it that way. And up until probably 2 years ago, we were my team was the testimonies about ProBio, BioCleanse, autoimmune disorders, and all that kind of thing. We were the only ones that had testimonies because we were the only ones that were really pushing ProBio and BioCleanse. So I know that there was a rumor going around at some point that someone from a corporate office had said that one cancels out the other. But that person no longer works for Plexus. And that was misinformation as far as I'm concerned, because I still do work for Plexus, and I'm telling you. Now, it doesn't mean that people have to take it that way, because it works fine. It works fine taken separately. The thing I really think it helps with, especially in the beginning for people, is they experience less candida die-off symptoms if they take them together and take them at night.
Right.
Some people can't take the BioCleanse at night. It keeps them up, but most people can. So, yeah.
Gosh, Lori, thank you so much. Man.
Y'all are welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I guess tomorrow night, the people who are near Oklahoma City, there's going to be a big diamond panel tomorrow night. I forgot where it's going to be, but Lori, do you know where it's going to be?
Yeah.
Noah's Event Center.
Noah's Event Center. Okay. Well, so awesome. If you can go there, you can meet Lori in person and definitely have a lot of knowledge tomorrow night. So for the people on my team, thanks a lot for showing up. For all the new people that are on here tonight, we do this every Monday night. So hopefully we'll see you again. Thank you so much, Lori.
You're welcome. You
Thanks,
guys have a good
Lori.
night.
Thank you,
See
Lori.
you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.